All right, 1-1. Arsenal go to Stamford Bridge, and you know what? Levelled up their performance a little bit. It was better. But if you're looking for a match report, match reaction, whatever we want to call this, that is going to really indulge in the positives, you're not going to get that from me, people. I'm just being really honest. I can't fake how I feel about the outcome and where Arsenal are. Now, look, there are positives. That was better. When you look at the Martinelli chance in the first half, Havertz slightly offside, Jesus slightly offside as that ball kind of, Trossard should put it back in the net. Trossard should have scored from that bit at the end. Marino nearly got on the end of a Saka cross. You look at those moments, you think, on our day we could and should have won this game, and that's positive. Chelsea are a good side. They're going for Champions League football, spending a lot of money on a lot of very good players, so we can take positives. But the context is that we're 9 points behind Liverpool. That's too far for me. I just have to be honest. It's too much. And ultimately, I could make this about the game in isolation, and therefore I could take a lot of positives from a very decent point at Stamford Bridge. Sorry, I'm moving the camera around a lot, guys. Apologies. But we're 9 points behind Liverpool. And I sort of said to Laurie when he interviewed me on AFTV that if you're a snorkeler, the further you swim down, just the further you've got to swim back up. It's a terrible analogy, but you get my point. Like, basically, Chelsea, a draw home to Liverpool and a draw away at Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, perfectly fine. That's absolutely fine. You can win the title and get those results. City won the title last season, those results. They drew at home to Liverpool. They drew at Stamford Bridge. You can get those results and win the title. But when you lose away at Bournemouth and Newcastle, teams you should be beating, those other results therefore become a lot more negative. So losing to Bournemouth and then failing to beat Liverpool in response is super disappointing. Losing at Newcastle and failing to beat Chelsea and Inter in response is super disappointing. We have had tough games. We've had to deal with the odd injury here and there, and it's disrupted the side, and there's been problems and circumstances. But I wanted Arsenal to flex and do something. Even if it meant being 7 points behind Liverpool, right? I wanted us to do something today whereby we were going to remind everyone, yes, you're 7 points ahead, but we're going to remind you who we are. And in a lot of ways, the performance against Chelsea had that. It had, good, defensive solidity. I thought we defended well. Chance creation was better. You got a better idea for our squad. Marino coming on. Jesus was poor, but, he's another player we brought off the bench. You got Calafiori to return. You just pray Raheem Sterling can do something, and Waneri didn't get on the pitch. Trossard, I thought had made a good impact despite you missing two really good chances. So there were things today that were more positive, but I don't think a message was sent, and that's where I feel a bit disappointed, a bit deflated, like I did after Liverpool, where, again, positives, not a bad result, but the results just, for me, viewed worse because because of what happened against Newcastle and Bournemouth. If we'd beaten Newcastle and Bournemouth, there's 6 more points, so we'd been 3 points behind Liverpool with a couple draws in there. So, yeah, that's where I feel a little bit frustrated. But, ifs, buts and maybes and all that. So, where are we? I mean, the game in particular, we've got our midfield three back, Odegaard, Partey, Rice. I thought Partey was fantastic. Odegaard did some lovely things and, of course, got the assist. We'll talk about that in a little bit when we get to the second half. Saliba and Gabriel, really positive performance again. I thought they were great against Inter Milan. I think they built on that as well. So good to see that our spine and our cores kind of getting together a little bit. Partey, fantastic. White, Timber, both had, Timber more so had some nice moments, certainly going forward. I thought Timber did a better job against Madueke than White did against Neto. And the front three, Martinelli and Saka were both frustrating, but Saka probably should have an assist, and Martinelli got a goal, maybe should have had a second as well. Havertz, did score a good goal, but was offside. Otherwise, he really wasn't in the game. And he wasn't really in the wars. It's one thing, it's one thing about Havertz. He normally kind of gets involved in the wars, and he's kind of like, I don't know, in there, being a real nuisance. We didn't really get that from him either. First half was a case of, first 10 minutes, they kind of had more of the ball. We started to get on it a little bit. A shot from Saka kind of ends up deflecting its way to Martinelli, who then with his left foot just sort of side foots it towards Sanchez. I think you either drive it, you don't pick a spot and you drive it with the laces, or if you're going to side foot it, you really got to pick a spot. He ended up kind of doing neither. Malo Gusto, though, I think had the best chance of the game when Neto was dancing around Ben White, some really good kind of trickery and skill, dug out across to the back post, and Gusto heads it over the crossbar, and you're thinking, oh, that really probably should have been 1-0. So I think we're the better team. They definitely had the better chance. And we're going to 0-0. So we're going to half-time 0-0. I mean, a couple other moments here and there, but nothing really. Second half, I thought Arsenal did really well. We were on the ball, playing our football. I don't think Chelsea really got anywhere near our goal, to be honest. Obviously, they scored. It's a moment of magic from Pedro Neto. We'll get to that. But generally, I thought we did a really, really good job to kind of largely have control of the game. Did we throw everything at Chelsea? I said this in my AFTV fan club. Did we throw everything at Chelsea to win the game like it was a must-win, that we had to keep up with Liverpool and send a message? No, something tells me there was still a little bit of that handbrake left on. But then, they're a good side and you've got to stop them too. Second half, there's a few moments, but the big one is Ødegaard. And it comes from some brilliant hold-up play from Havertz, Ødegaard and Partey. All look after the ball brilliantly before Ødegaard picks out a wonderful ball towards the back post to Martinelli, and him and Saka are basically right behind. They just need to put it in the back of the net, and Martinelli opts not to give it to Saka, just put it in the back of the net himself. Thought it was a good decision. He did well. It is a really good finish, making up for the miss early in the game. And it was good because I think he struggled, but that was a really kind of good moment. I'm happy for Martinelli because the work rate's always top, and sometimes football just gives back. So a lovely quote from Marco Silva, when you were saying you keep working hard in football, the game will give back. And I think Martin had a little bit of a moment like that against Chelsea with that goal. Then, essentially, a couple sort of shots here and there were blocked. You look at the kind of Marino ball into the box from Saka. He could probably, he just gets there a little bit too late. By the way, I thought Marino had a really good cameo. Neto then equalises, and basically, he's just found in loads of space. Martinelli doesn't follow him inside. You could probably forgive him because there's still a lot of players there. Saliba, Gabriel and Timber throw themselves at the shot from Neto to try make the block. But it's a wonderful strike. I have to say, I think sometimes if it's a winger moving inside and getting a strike from distance and executing it that well, sometimes you've got to say it's just a very good goal. There's a lot of other moving parts on the pitch, a lot of other things going on that can impact it. It could be a bit of a game of chess sometimes, especially when you've got the likes of Maresca and Arteta as your managers. And in that moment, Neto came through with a moment of real quality. They nearly had them in the first half with Palmer, didn't they, with the effort that was saved by Raya. So I can sort of forgive the goal. That can happen, right? We're conceding too many goals, but also I think our defenders as individuals are really kind of stepping up at the moment. And then ultimately, that last moment where we kind of play through Chelsea and then it makes its way wide to Saliba, who then just squares it to Trossard. I didn't even mention, the first half, Havertz. He did really well. Sorry, I'm all over the place, guys. So that was our first chance. There's a moment in the first half where it's rolled into Havertz from a quick free kick, really quick thinking from Rice. And then he spins him, pokes into the back of the net. I actually think after that was disallowed, we kind of lost momentum. I think it kind of took something out of us. Second half, we responded well. And then late in the game, Saliba makes his way up the pitch. Ødegaard rolls it to him, and he just fires it across goal to Trossard and Havertz. Trossard, it's a really poor finish. He takes it wide. If he doesn't touch it, you think Havertz can put it in the back of the net. But to be fair, Trossard should probably do better. The thing is, though, I think Saliba's offside. That's what reminded me of the Havertz chance. With Havertz being offside, I think Saliba's offside too. And I think it would have been gut-wrenching to have had that goal chalked off. I think he was offside, guys. So in a weird way, I kind of think it worked out well that we just saw him miss it. Because I think he'd have been off. And I think enjoying that moment to have another goal disallowed for offside would have been quite painful. But look, overall, final thoughts on this are it was an improvement. We're a very good team. You won't have found me in any of this bad patch over the last 4 weeks. You won't have found me anywhere saying that I think we're a bad team, that we're not good enough to win the title, that Liverpool and City are streaks ahead of us, that we need to stop kidding ourselves, or that our season's a disaster and that there's nothing to be hopeful about. You won't hear me saying that because I don't believe that. I think we're a very good team. And I think we can still do big things this season. But with regards to the Premier League in particular, 9 points is huge. It's huge. It feels too much. And that's where ultimately I'm deflated. Because like I said, drawing at home to Liverpool, drawing away at Chelsea, a lot of merit in those. We didn't do our job in 2 other games. And that basically means we're now sitting here going, we've won 5 games, we've drawn 4, we've lost 2. So we've actually dropped points in 6 games and only won 5. We're 9 points off Liverpool. And I don't think teams are going to get to 90 plus points this season. I do agree with the general feeling amongst everyone that it's not going to take the same tallies to win the Premier League. But what it's now going to take is an exceptional swing in our performances, but mainly our results and our momentum, but also for Liverpool too. And that's a big, big ask. So keep believing for the season, but I can't sit here and pretend that I want to inject loads of hope for the Premier League title race. I don't feel that. But I feel we're a really good team. And I think moments today reminded people of that. But we've got a lot of work to do. And the international breaks probably come at quite a good time.